Friday, and Friday is fun day on the Daily Draw, and we have really pulled something special out of the bag this week. I've been using my sons as a resource of ideas, and they love Monsters Inc. So we've got Monsters Inc. today. Let's get drawing. So in our warm-up today, I've got my little scrap bit of paper, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a few rectangles. And if you're thinking, why are we doing rectangles to this monster? I want you to look really closely at this shape. See how it goes out like that? Look, can you see very clearly? We've got a really big rectangle. So if we get that in first, then we'll be able to turn it into our monster. Now here as well, what I want you to think about is how the fur comes out. So we're going to work on both those. So drawing our rectangle, it's just about really light lines. Look how loosely I'm holding that pencil. So maybe on your sheet, just draw a couple of rectangles. So we're just doing lines there, joining them together. Then have a little think about how we're going to do these edges. So I'm going to turn the paper here, and I'm just going to let my pencil go very loosely, because that is going to be the fur that we do at the edge of this. Very, very loose and free, like that. So that's our little warm-up today. Let's get drawing. I'm going to do my drawing today, all the Friday ones I've done in here in my sketchbook, and the Wednesday ones. That was this Wednesday's our Winnie the Pooh. So I'm just going to do it here. So I'm going to put my Elizabeth, I can't remember what the monster's called.
Sully.
Sully. I'm going to put Sully here. What I'm going to do is start by finding the centre of the page. So it's about there. And then I'm going to go up from that and just draw my straight line, just like we just did in the warm-up there. So a straight line there, and then another one down at the bottom. And I need to leave some room for his feet and some room for his head. So we don't want to fill the page with this line, but very loosely we are going to put in this first rectangle there, like that. Now if we come to the top here, what I want you to do is to go to that top corner and take a small line out there. This is going to turn into his hand, and people get in the right flap about hands, but just break it down into the shapes. So it's slightly wider at the bottom than the top there. Take that line a little bit further out again, up, and then like that, a bit higher than there, and then curve it round. So that'll be the start of his hand there. And now we can start the top of his head here. So thinking about coming down from there just a little bit. So look at that shape in there, like a little triangle. And we're just going to curve, and then we're going to go up. Here on this side, if we take it out slightly and then move up. So we're about exactly the same height as where what will be the top of the thumb is there. Just up to there, out a bit there. And what I'm going to do is take that down. That is the shape we're going for. So the last thing on this stage, so you can go through this really slowly when you pause and just go through these shapes. We're going to have a shape here at the bottom, and what I want you to think about is the shape within the shape. So rather than drawing two legs, we're going to do the bit in between. So we go up like that and round. It's a really funny little shape. Round there, like that. And if that looks odd to you, stick with me because you will see what it becomes. So here, these lines here that you've got in for step one, if you look at when you pause at the end of this stage, you'll see that they're in red dotted lines here. So what we're doing is we're taking that basic rectangle that we had and we're building it and changing the shape. So let's start up here with the top of the head, and we're just going to curve it round, and up here, instead of it being a straight line, we're just going to make it into a kind of fluffy, he's got almost a little quiff there. And then fluff it out there. And there it's going to carry on now. I'm going to take his arm out. So come down here to the bottom, going up slightly, that's going to become the foot. I've got a little shape there coming out. And then another shape within the shape, which is what we call negative shapes. So we've got that shape there. And then we take out 1 and 2 down there, like that. So we're going to now join this to here, but we don't want to join it in a solid straight line. We're going to join it here in a kind of fluffy, very loose, fluffy way. So I'm going to hold my pencil really. It's because he's a fluffy monster, isn't he? Was that right?
Yeah.
So coming down like that. We've got him coming to there. So let's take this foot out now here like that. So you'll see when you pause it, those bits, that's your red dotted line there, and you are just putting in all the bits, all the extra bits around it. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to rub that rectangle out, and suddenly the monster is going to appear. So we've got that coming up to there. So think about where that is on the square. And there we're going to take out, what's his tail there, like that. Take it up. But we don't want to go right into the square here. We're going to go coming out slightly so that that joins there. So all we've got now left to do is this arm and hand. And when I was playing with this, I felt like this could be really complicated, so I've made it really simplified it right down. Let's start with the thumb here. So where we've got that shape, you're just going to turn it in like that. And then we're going to rub that line out. I can actually rub that whole line out now. I'm going to take the thumb in there like that. This stays as it is, but we're going to bring it in like that, and then that is just going to become nice and furry and down. And then what we're going to do, if we think about it coming up here and down, and then just join it. So that's the line we're going to follow here, and loose and really furry down to there. And that's us. That's this next part of the shape, and then we'll rub out these lines here, and we'll be able to come in and finish it off. So it's just the last few details now. So we'll come in, let's come in up here, and we'll put in these horns here, and it's just coming around like that, and it kind of goes up at the edge. We'll put in some little lines there, and we've got another one, a little one, just there like that. And actually I think I'm going to make this slightly wider. I just give myself a bit more room to fit his head in. Here. And a bit more room there. So if yours feels a little bit too narrow, just do that. Just change the edges slightly so that you've got room to fit his eyes. Now let's start with his nose. We're coming down a bit from here in, and it's just that shape there. That's all you're putting in, and then a couple of squiggles. And the eyes are like triangles, but with, so come in 1, 2, but each of their ends is kind of curves. So it's a curve, triangle with curves there like that. Let me see. Have you got that?
Yeah.
Coming there and then curve it. Make sure you pop in the eyebrows. And then inside, we've just got circles and circles, circle and circle. And he's quite jolly, I think, isn't he? So from my memory of this, he's got this enormous smile. So come down here and just put in the shape for this really big mouth. And then you want to put in the teeth like that. And the same here, he's got one tooth that sticks up, and then the others are just down there like that. I'm just going to come in and add that circle. So almost there now. We'll just put a little line around here. And as we come in, each of his fingers has got these really big claws. I was going to say fingernails then, but they're not, they're claws. So we've got 3 there, and we've got another one there as well. And coming down on the feet, we've got the same. So we've just got 3 on there, and they're that shape, like an upside down teardrop. 3 and 2 on that foot. 1, 2, and that is our drawing finished. And we're going to now go on and paint it, so stick with us, and we'll show you some simple painting techniques. Do this, I'll just bring over the finished one here. I'm going to do this by mixing washes. to go in the background. And I need 3 washes. A very pale blue, which is a kind of almost turquoisey, so I'll put a touch of green in. A darker one for the shadow, and then this purple here. So let's start with the water. And I'm going to need plenty of water here because I want 3 big washes. And I want them mixed first so that when I actually start painting, it's going to be very quick, because I want to be able to drop these colours. And it's a technique, a watercolour technique called wet in wet. And it won't work. If I was doing it on a piece of paper like this, it wouldn't work. So I need the proper watercolour paper to make this work. And that's what we've got in these sketchbooks here that you can get from the our online shop if you wanted to think about those. So what I'm going to start with is the very palest one. Let's have a look. I definitely need a lot more water in there because otherwise, and I want to also put a touch of green in, not much. That's too much too green. And when you're mixing washes, a lot of it is just playing. You're just playing around till you get it right. Let's see, what do we think? I think that is about right. I've actually got Sully here, so I can just put that, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much what we need here. So what I'm going to do now is mix a little bit of purple. Okay, and I'm going to be able to drop that in. And then I want a darker version of that one. And that is going to be blue, green, and then some of this sort of indigo blue there. Let's see, will that be my shadow? I think that will be about right. That'll work quite well. So, nice clean brush. I don't want any of that dark in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a slightly smaller brush just to go around these details here, because I don't want paint in there. This is with my kind of pale turquoisey colour. And then for everything else, I'm going to paint really quickly here. So I'm going to go in, up here, join that to the edge. I'm not going to worry too much about getting these marks, because I'm going to come back and do that with watercolour pencil to get the fur marks coming down. But I am going to go over the claws there. I'm going to go right round here. I love that colour. So that was just a bit of the paler blue and a touch, hardly any at all, a touch of the green. And again, I'm quite happy to go over those claws because we'll be bringing them back later. Right round this whole thing. Make sure you've got that little gap, that little negative space there. Let's come round to the edge. Lots of water on this, but because of it being watercolour paper, it's just sitting and holding really nicely. There we go. I went over my neat line there. There we go. Pull it out, back in there. Right, whilst this is really wet now, what I'm going to do is drop in the purple. So we've got those kind of purpley patches coming. So clean my brush. Take my purple, and here I'm just going to drop, and look, it'll just do its own bit of magic now because it's wet, and it's just called wet in wet. So he's got these sort of purple splodges here and there, not all over. And it's really difficult to get that kind of effect with anything else. You're never quite sure where it's going to go, to be honest. And that is part of the joy. And now I want to have this dark shadow here, and I just want just a bit there, into his arm, a bit here, where I'm going to put the side of his face. And you can see I'm just dropping this in. I'm not painting carefully at all. And here there's a bit of shadow up at the top, coming around his eyes there. And if Elizabeth goes right in, can you see how, because the paint's wet, it just spreads like this? And I'm going to leave that to dry now, probably for about 5 minutes or so. And when we come back, that'll all be dry and we'll be able to finish it off. So we're going to finish it off now. It's dry. It's taken ages to dry because there's so much water on it. And I've got a few watercolour pencils just to help me finish off, but ordinary pencils will do because I'm not using them as watercolours. I'm just going to go around things. So I'm going around the little horns like this, putting a few little lines in between. So that's the first bit. And then in the eyes, I'm going to put in a tiny bit of pale blue there. And then I'll put in the pupils as well, and the eyebrows. And then I'm going to take the really dark blue and I'm going to use that for quite a few different things here. I'm going to first of all start with the nose. I'm going to use it to go around the eyes a little bit. I'm going to use it to go around the mouth. And just to put a few bits of shading in here and there. Just any bits which are going to be darker, like round here. So he's got that bit of his face, so I'm going to go round here like that. And then taking the black, which I've really sharpened, I'm going to go around the teeth like that. Don't forget he's got that one big tooth there. Colour in between it. And then I'm going to finish off with the purple and the dark blue. I'm going to use the dark blue first. Just like what we did right at the start of this in the warm-up. Lots of small little strokes to make him look like he's really furry all the way around. I'm going to do that down here as well. You can see this sticking out. You can take your time over this. I'm doing this quite quickly, but up here at the top, and definitely these bits here, and up at the top there as well. And on the hands, you can put in a few little details. Not much, just here and there, so that you can see the start of the hands coming up with the dark blue. And then just pop a couple of little purple bits in here and there on the fur around the edge. Not much, just a little bit here and there. And then the very final marks, we're going to do the little claws. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and the last one there, 4. And on the feet, we've got, remember these were these upside down teardrops. 1, 2, and then 3. And here we've got 1, 2, and then we're finished. I hope you absolutely loved that. Hope you really, really, really enjoyed that. Make sure you do them both because you can't have one without the other. And it'll give you something to do over the weekend. So make sure you keep drawing and join us on Monday when we've got 2 really beautiful birds for you. We've got a puffin and a robin. So we'll be back then. Send us your Monsters Inc. paintings. We can't wait to see them and have a fantastic weekend.